But
Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, game two between Boosted Bon. No, it's not the right teams. It's Cuckobos versus Bandits. I forgot the whole team. Sorry, mangled it. Let's refresh. The doctor isn't everybody. I'm being joined by none other than Wumbo from game one. Um, Bit of an explosive first match and
I
a
do
bit of
not
fallout between the
tolerate
two teams in the
cowardice.
middle. So knowing those two things, what are we expecting from this game two here, Wumbo?
uh, Lee Sin ban, definitely. I'm not sure why teams don't target that. It's been so controlling, especially with the lack of vision control that a lot of teams seem to have. I want to see it go away. It seems like it enables the Cuckobos just a little bit too much.
So no Lee Sin Ben just yet. Um, and you and I talked off camera.
We do what we
I don't
must.
think Lee Sin is a good pick in the current meta when comparable to the likes of Graves,
Happy to
Ka,
share
and
his honor.
Rek'Sai. Does eat the ban finally though. So now, do we see a first pick Kha'Zix for Tim? Because we did see that QuickSight doesn't want to shy away from that pick. But do you think Tim has a backup?
I think if the Cuckobos fear that Kha'Zix pick once more, then they'll ban it away. If not, I could see if they're comfortable with it, then I could definitely see them picking it, and then Quick will go something on similar to Lee Sin, like you said, the Graves,
Well,
or a
just
Rek'Sai if
mad.
they want to go a little bit more utility. But yeah, I would expect Blazing Bandits Kha'Zix first pick. Or Graves, that works too. I mean, you want to try to be getting these jungle picks, and that clinches it just a little bit more, and that's probably going to put Quick Sight on into a Kha'Zix. It,
Yeah, I mean the Graves is almost like universally considered the number one jungler right now. Just brings everything to the table: tons of damage, tons of sustain, tons of tankiness, tons of just everything you need in a jungler. And we noticed an almost instant lock Rengar from Quickscythe.
yeah, knowing what he wants, definitely with that. I am not a fan of Rengar, honestly, after the nerfs that hit him, and with the lethality nerfs, did a pretty big number on him. So I feel like so far Blazing Bandits won out on this trade with the Graves pick. Is opting for Graves usually does opt for the lethality builds, as most AD champions are known to build right now, but can go a little bit more AD carry and a Phantom Dancer if he wants to do a little bit more. But on the other side of this draft, Twisted Fate gets picked up once more for Cuckobos to go to Azuru, and Nautilus onto Supper Feeding, and Victor for the White Raw. So a little bit of a change. Looks like the Blazing Bandits are going to go away from that more like tanky bruiser kind of mid laner. Going to go for some straight damage
Yeah,
in
so
that Victor.
they decide that the Maokai what didn't work game one. They thought that the Nautilus was a much better pick. It did more of what the team itself wanted, so they're gonna drop that pick up the Nautilus. Victor is something I'm super interested in casting. I just think it's such a strange pick that not strange in the fact that it's like off meta, it's a bad pick, anything like that. It's just that it hasn't seen play for a little bit now, and I'm super excited to get him back in the game. There's just so much fancy plays that can come out from him. I'm super excited to have that back in, and I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup between Victor and Twisted Fate.
Yeah, absolutely. And Victor's he's in kind of a weird spot. I'm not really sure. I think he just fell out of favor, but he's a pretty strong pick when it comes to like stopping pushes with wave clear. Once you do get that hex core upgrade, you can just completely delete a wave in one ability. One of the few champions that can actually do that. And he is, yeah, like you said, is only really seeing play in like Korea on Crown and other mid laners, but Crown is pretty much just the Victor main when it comes to LCK. So are gonna see an Ashe get locked in for Nicky Springfield here. He's gonna opt away a little bit from the damage that he did have and pick up a little bit more utility, as there is more damage for to compensate in the mid lane. Samano is going to go back onto that Jhin, and it looks like it'll be the classic Nautilus Poppy lane in
And
top lane.
so we ended the cast before the break, and I was saying completely different team coming out from Bandits. Here we see not a single champion picked between the two games for them, and I have to say I am so much happier with the draft they've decided to go at this time. It's a lot safer. They're not as reliant on early game picks, and they have such a huge late game threat that I think they have this game almost in the bag. They just have to, cross the I's and dot the T's.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely a much safer comp. It does give them a lot more avenues for success. You can try to make picks with the Ashe, then followed up with damage from Graves and Victor, or you can opt for just front to back team fighting with Nautilus and Tom Kench as your front lines, or potential peel for any of the carries that the Blazing Bandits have opted for themselves. While the Cuckobos seem to be going for a little bit of a similar team comp. They have the Jin and Twisted Fate from last game, plugging out Lee Sin, plugging in Rengar, and then Poppy will be the tank for that one. So, especially with Nautilus, I believe that matchup goes in favor of the Poppy if he can land the abilities, stop the anchor toss with the W. But definitely liking the Poppy pick to try to peel a little bit for their front line while Rengar dives into the back line in team fight situations.
Yeah, and I mean Rengar, you mentioned earlier he kind of ate a double nerf there between lethality and just the nerfs that hit him in particular. And just looking at what he has to go up against, I mean, he doesn't really have a target that he can solo out come late game. I mean, he can if he can jump on the Ashe and the Victor at the same time, which let's be honest, just simply shouldn't happen. Tom Kench can only save one of them, but even then, Ashe is late game damage. Victor is just all game damage. So I mean, he has to kill both of them before he just gets annihilated. But when he's coming into a Tom Kench and a Nautilus, it's not in his favor. The numbers are definitely going against him on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for him to try to get in here because if he deletes Ashe, then Victor's going to destroy him. If he deletes Victor, then Ashe is going to destroy him. And even within those two carries, they do have a little bit of their self peel abilities with Ashe's and Channel Crystal Arrow and the Gravity Field. And if he kind of has to wait for those if he wants to try to make a pick happen, and for Tom Kench to not be around. So that's going to be a pretty small and narrow window for QuickSight to use to try to make some of these picks happen. But
And
it's possible. I mean, we've seen in his earlier play, he definitely he lives by the mantra of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So consistently in the enemy jungle when it is potentially uh, life-threatening, and sometimes comes out on top. So
yeah,
a ballsy player to say the least.
so we do see the Ashe coming in. It's been kind of touted as like a soft counter to the Jin. We see the curtain call come up, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes in, shuts it down. But one little adaptation that the Cucks have come up with is the Braum. If Braum can sit in front of Jin when the curtain call goes down, Enchanted Crystal Arrow is not going to hit the Jin. He can get all four shots off, and that could be impactful. I mean, we've seen the fourth shot from Jin just clip a wing here or there, and all of a sudden the team fight's completely different. So, I mean, we don't normally expect a Braum with the Jin because of the four shot passive, but I can't help but think this is a great adaptation to the Ashe.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with the Ashe is the Graves that it could potentially shut down if you can eat a lot of those damage abilities like his buckshot or the collateral damage. So eating those up and Channel Crystal Arrow collateral damage would definitely swing a team fight in the wrong direction for the Blazing Bandits.
So, we see the team comps. We're heading into loading screen now. Knowing the team comps, knowing what happened game one, who are you going to give it to? I made my pick pretty early on in the pick phase there, but what do you think is going to be the outcome of this one?
I want to give it over. Uh, to the Blazing Bandits. They've just drafted for themselves a much safer team comp with a lot of win conditions, whereas the team comp that the Cuckobos have drafted for themselves is sort of pick based, and if you don't get the Rengar rolling, then he does not really do much. I feel like it's they're really dependent on Quicksight's performance because he can in this in early game or just later in the game get picked out and feed a little bit, and we don't have your jungler, it can make a huge impact on neutral objectives.
Yeah,
So
I
I
mean,
want to give it over to the Blazing Bandits in terms of like a hyperbolic time chamber where each champion is played absolutely perfectly. I would give it over to them, but mistakes happen, human error, all that.
they also have less skins, and as we all know, skins equal wins. So I can't help but feel that now it's turned. Tom Kench, Nautilus, nah, not tanks. They're just gonna get burned down, cut down. But jokes aside, like I said, I think the Bandits have just put together a more solid team comp this time around, whereas the Cuckobos have gone for something a bit flashier. They had the game won in fairly convincing fashion once things got rolling, and so now they're gonna try and take advantage of that mental spike and see if they can get it rolling again. Quickside, the Rengar could just pop off. We saw some Samano on the Jin last game, 11-0-11, and he obviously knows how that champion works. So, maybe they're just feeling extra confident.
Yeah, I absolutely hope that he has a repeat performance like that just to boost his psyche and his numbers a little bit. But as we are loading in here, we'll see teams fanning out, going for the fairly standard top lane goes top. Rest of the team goes towards that bot side, protect their jungler from the invades. I think it's really interesting that neither team has really opted for a little bit of an invade start. For
Uh,
example,
I
like
mean,
starting on the opposite buff, so you can invade your the enemy jungler's other buff. So like if he starts blue, you start your blue, so that you can move over into his red. I think it maybe it's a communication that they're fearful of. Teams capitalizing on catching you out, but I think especially on Lee Sin or Kha'Zix, definitely possible.
I mean, one thing to note is that just looking at the minimap, there's a huge gap in both teams' kind of fan out. It would be very easy to sneak in either the Raptor camp or the Wolf camp if you're on blue side. Take that top side buff, get out, and then all of a sudden it's 3 buff. There's no wards, there's no champions. I think both teams are gonna come back, look at this tape, and be like, "Oh, we missed this. This is something we could have done a bit better." Um, I mean, this is an LCS, but small things like that just put such a burden on the enemy team.
Yeah, especially it's fairly even in the jungle pretty consistently until one jungler or the other gets a kill. So having an advantage like that in the CS or really XP could really swing a game. Because especially when you're working in the jungle, if you steal a camp, it's not like oh, you have a gain. You're putting them behind and you get a gain, so it kind of has a double impact on putting you ahead and putting them behind, and can really help to shut down and snowball yourself.
Yeah, and especially both of these junglers being the type that need to get ahead, need to get rolling. It could equally detrimental to either of them had one of those plays been made. But past that, we do see a complete clear coming out from Quickscythe. Gonna be a bit behind. If Tim can hurry this along, he could actually meet Quickscythe at his buff. Again, he has no way of knowing due to no wards, but it's maybe in the back of Tim's mind.
I think both junglers have the inkling that their starting mirror starts, and that's just kind of how they're playing because it is the default. But it looks like Tim is going to put a ward behind his red buff, spot him out just a little bit. They're pinging him out. Quickscythe is pretty low here, but Tim isn't going to go for an invade. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take that red buff, actually. Does he have smite? Oh, yeah, he does.
Does
Yeah,
have
it's up.
some.
Yeah,
It's
he'll
up
be fine.
now. But one thing to note. You mentioned that both junglers had an inkling that mirror starts. One thing to really notice that super dangerous there from
Yeah.
Quickside. That could have ended so horribly, so many different ways. But one of the easiest ways to tell if it's a mirror start is have your bottom laners pay attention. Who gets to lane first? If, you know, they come in with the wave, no jungler was... Either the jungler wasn't helped on that side, or they just didn't help the jungler. So definitely something to pay attention to when you're heading to those lanes. Call out to your jungler, let them know where you think the enemy jungler started, because that's how you get those advantages in the jungle. If you know, if Springfield had called out, hey, super late come in from Samano and Parasite, all of a sudden that's Tim's, you know, notice to just get in the jungle and get that top side red buff.
Yeah, absolutely. Team communication is very crucial there when it comes to the jungle starts, which can very easily influence the way a jungler plays or how the game will just turn out in and of itself. But right now, looking extremely even between all the lanes. Top lane, not much of a difference. Pretty much every lane is fairly the same. Quick Scythe, always known for skipping over the jungle item. Not a huge fan, honestly, because it really lessens your jungle sustain. It does look like he's going for a more farm-heavy start, as he does do a full jungle clear. He's going to go for those 2 long swords to exalt his damage just a little bit. He's going to be looking for some duels.
There are like most of the tier 1 junglers, you can skip that item on. I mean, Rek'Sai, Graves don't necessarily need it. They have all the sustain and jungle that they need to work with. But Quick Scythe,
Is he gonna catch him? I think he might catch him.
he gets that.
He sees him.
He gets in. Tim's forced to jump out. Quick Scythe throws out the bola, forces the flash. Gold card comes in. Wild cards his first blood, going to Azuru. And if you're Tim, feels bad, man.
Yeah, good communication from Cuckobos. Able to close out all his escape tools. If you're Tim, pick up that easy first blood.
Yeah, I think if you're Tim, you're actually kind of wondering, why was Rengar there? Like, how? Because they passed each other. We saw Tim go from Krugs in front of his red buff to Raptors. Meanwhile, Quickside at the same time went behind red buff and then like right behind him, and the timing was just so perfect there. You know, Tim's gonna see that on tape and be like, you can't even be mad because it just kind of happens that way.
Yeah, I think Tim was playing with fire, trying to clear that late without having backed, while Quickscythe had already got his first back end. So, yeah, definitely mind gamed that one for Quickscythe. Went literally all the way around behind the red buff and then around the other banana wall to meet him up. And Quickscythe is going for an invade here, but he might get caught out. I don't think
They
he will,
have
though.
vision on him, so they know he's there. They're kind of just ignoring him for now, but
He's like a little gnat that's just like flying around your head.
or when I don't know if you have cats, but they're horrible animals that just they're aggravating. Fantastic
I'm not
animals.
a fan
But-
of cats personally.
But so, you know, you got all your mics set up, you got, you know, all your computer cables everywhere, you know, things seem good, and all of a sudden a cat's attack. And then all of a sudden your computer barely functions, your microphone's in 8 pieces. That is Quicksand right now. Just knowing enough that you just want to strangle it, but then you realize, oh, it's a kitty cat, it's adorable. But huge engage coming down in the bot lane. Pro Niz, 1 auto from getting stunned up there, but no summoners being burned just yet.
Yeah, it looks like not much is coming of anything right now, and pings are coming out from Tim. It looks like fearful of yet another invade, as Quickscythe is known to do. But
The
actually,
hammer came down and just barely missed. TN gonna get dragged up by the dredge line, and he is not having fun in this top lane, it seems, at all.
yeah, I agree absolutely. I believe he's eating up a lot of poke from Nautilus's E.
He is set up to lose a lot of CS here too. He has the TP available, but he's forced to stay in this lane right now. He just cannot leave or he'll fall very far behind in CS, which it might actually end up being that he is going to fall behind anyway, just due to an awkward farming pattern there.
Yeah, he might actually have to burn his TP if he doesn't want to miss anything. Supper feeding could shove this one out to try to make him miss more CS. I think he's gonna do, actually. Both junglers just normal pathing. Quickside has a slight CS lead, but
Quickscythe is actually going to keep the blue buff for himself as well, which is something we don't see Tim do. Tim, being a friendlier jungler, gonna help the team in that regard.
yeah, and that comes with its checks and balances. I mean, if you do take that blue buff away as the jungler, because with a small change that they did not too long ago, I believe, the XP from the camp goes over to the person that killed it when it comes to the buffs. So when you do those buff handovers, all the XP goes to the mid laner. But it looks like
Tim making his way top, dredge line in. Auto actually gets canceled by Tim, so kind of awkward there. Destiny coming in, forces them away.
It's a
Actually,
little bit
come
short.
in, no gold card just yet. Wild cards goes in. Rengar also ulting for this gold card, lands onto
Ooh.
Tim, gets locked up. Quickscythe goes in, double kill, going over to the Cuckobos.
That was really close. Yeah, Blazing Bandits not respecting the global pressure that they had, or that the Cuckobos had. An unfortunate turn for the Blazing Bandits does turn into a double kill counter gank. And maybe even that top tower being
also
lost.
going to get stunned up. Springfield was looking in another direction. Turret! I missed that. First turret does go over to him, but kind of awkward there. Oh, unfortunate for Parasite. Was not in front of the minion by about a pixel, and so he's not going to be able to get that slow up.
Yeah, on the backside of that bot lane trade, able to pick up that first tower blood. Slightly lessened as we are playing on patch 7.3, but still substantial nonetheless when you're playing with these early game advantages. And right out of the gate, 10 minutes in, a 3,000 gold lead for the Cuckobos. So they are sitting, I mean, they were able to bring it back last game, but now they're working with an advantage here. So we've seen them play from behind.
That volley was so infinitely close to stopping that back onto Samano.
Yeah,
that would have been huge.
Yeah, it would have been would have canceled the back. Wouldn't have been able to pick up his items and that would have been really, really bad because they could have just pressured him in and prevented him from CSing under tower and working into the item disadvantage with the BF sword on thank you Springfield.
I think if you're Bandits or Cuckobos right now, you put Jhin. I was gonna say you put Jhin in the top lane because he can farm, but then I was like, wait a minute, doesn't make sense because he'll get ganked just as easily as Poppy. But Supper feeding doesn't seem very tanky. However, his trades are super even right now.
Yeah, in that top lane.
Oh, Tim comes in, gonna get thrown back by the hammer. Depth charge comes in. Dragon goes the way of the Bandits. Tim quick draws over the wall. No end of line.
Just gonna skeeter out of that one. Seeing that Tim was top, the Cuckobos make the call for that dragon. Easy pickup on them.
Well, I actually really, really want to see that dragon pick, but arrow just misses. I was about to kick back and watch that dragon play, but I'm actually going to do that now.
Yeah, I think they just walk up and take it because Tim went top.
It was a Mega Death Ray. It was a blind Mega Death Ray to steal the dragon.
Oh wait, he stole it?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Holy crap, I didn't
White
even...
Rod just walked up, blind Death Ray, stole the dragon right out from under him.
Wow.
Feels bad if you're Quickscythe.
Yeah, it went past me too. Holy crap. It looks like you're going to go back to standard laning here. Cuckobos not doing a whole lot to try to extend this lead.
Rengar ult comes in onto Sup or feeding Bola. Just now goes out. Quickscythe doing what he can, forces the flash, but the jump in. Quickscythe with the solo kill onto feed.
Yeah, and even though he's building a little bit tanky, was able to finish his warrior on Quickscythe, and it does end up having enough damage to finish off.
Oh, fourth shot comes in and just half health Springfield. So Azuro comes down, stun lands onto Tim. Collateral damage not going to be enough. Curtain call might be enough. Flash comes in. Third shot goes wide. Fourth shot gonna land onto Springfield. But TP coming in from Azuro. I don't know why he's there. He has no HP.
Yeah, and this team comp that the Cuckobos have is really explosive. I mean, the Rengar can come from almost halfway across the map and turn around even the most volatile of fights. And same thing with TF. So they have like almost a semi-global slash a global comp that they drafted for themselves, you know, with teleports and almost resting just only within Curtain Call, Rengar ult, and Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, Curtain Call is such a good initiator. We see it time and time again. You know, the enemy AD carry just farming in mid lane, minding their own business. All of a sudden, boom, Curtain Call. And all of a sudden, your AD carry is dead forever. But the same could be said of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. But we did see tier 2 top actually going down. And that's a big advantage for the Cuckobos. That gives Poppy such room to roam.
Yeah, I want to see them snowball just a little bit harder. They are doing a really great job of working with this lead, but it only expanded their gold lead just only by almost 500 more gold.
So, I mean, you mentioned 500 gold, but the overall, it's a 4K gold lead. Do you think that the Bandits are okay with this? Do you think they're sitting back and going, oh, we'll get it later, don't worry, we got this? Or do you think it's, you know, creeping into the back of their mind that, hey, this isn't good for us, what do we do?
Well, I'm not really too versed in the mindset of them, but you know, as a team, you definitely want to have a little bit more of an optimistic mindset. You know, thinking, hey, we can just shrug this off. You know, we'll catch up in the late game. As you know, especially with Graves, Victor, Ashe, they do have pretty good scaling on their side. But first, they just have to get there, and right now they're working with a deficit. But you know, it is League. We've seen teams come back from deficits like this, so definitely not the end of the match.
Yeah, I mean, the Cuckobos came from a very similar deficit last game. And, you know, we talked about how solid the composition for Bandits is. I mean, 4K gold in 30 minutes, it's not going to quite matter so much. And, I mean, it doesn't seem like the Cuckobos are pushing that hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. As we can even see here that the Blazing Bandits are being the aggressor
Bandits.
right now.
Pro Nibs just getting caught way out of position. Curtain Call comes in. 1, 2, 3 coming out. Fourth lands onto Tim. The Quickside picking himself up. Another kill. Big end of line coming in. Gold card lands onto Springfield and all the follow-up CC. Deadly Flourish actually going to miss onto Springfield. But now White Raw stuck behind enemy line. Stun comes in. That is doom on him.
If only Baron is up.
Going the way of the Cuckobos.
Oh, they could get the ace if they can get. Oh no, Tom Kent spawned. Yeah, that was Blazing Bandits just biting off a little bit more than they could chew there. It's so difficult to try to make plays like that. I mean, if they were playing against a different team comp than the Cuckobos have, it could perhaps work. But when there's so many globals, Destiny and the ulti from Rengar, it's you get caught out so easily, and it's so difficult to play against.
Yeah, and we saw that they kind of tried to combat the Destiny with the Tom Kench ultimate, but, you know, the Abyssal Voyage into nowhere there just kind of sealed his fate, and once that happened, it was just doom for everybody. There was no plays that could have saved that one.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of fate, the Twisted One in the mid lane right now, kind of flying under the radar now, but is actually 3-0-3 and putting a lot of pressure onto White Raw's Victor. As that's, if Azure gets on him, he can lay out some pretty heavy poke and shove that one right out. And if you're Quickside, this enables you a lot, having such strong mid lane pressure. It looks like the Cuckobos are going to try to posture up for this Infernal Drake, which would really help to bolster their damage and advantage that they have right now.
Yeah, and so, you know, we've seen Twisted Fate leave the lane a couple times, Look at how much damage White Raw's been able to put on the enemy tower. Do you think that's a bit of a misstep? Do you think he should have been pushing harder, or maybe a miscommunication?
I haven't looked at it just yet, but it looks like Cuckobos are going to easily pick up that Infernal Drake.
The hammer came down, but now TN's kind of stuck out. He is going to be the sacrificial lamb. Kill being picked up by White Raw. So, trading your top laner for an Infernal Drake. If you're the Cuckobos right now, that's fine. You don't need your top laner. You do need that Infernal Drake, though. Rengar cult and the curtain call coming in. Supper feeding is the tanky one of the team. Jumping in. Oh, Quickside is going to get the kill. He died inside of Tom Kench. Disgusting. But Tim now caught out behind his friends, in front of his friends. Flash gold card, double kill for Zero. Quickscythe jumps in, but does he have the damage? Maybe? No, never mind. No damage for Quickscythe. He's gonna get eaten. He gets the kill, gets shut down. But the BM extravagance from Quickscythe is probably gonna put yet another nail in this coffin, I feel like.
Yeah, this is very, very quick, very sliding downwards. It's looking to be a very slippery slope here for the Cuckobos. And it's like you were talking about, you know, if Rengar is able to jump on Victor and Ashe at the same time, and that's exactly what happened. And the only reason that Ashe went down and not both Ashe and Victor is because he was able to get that dueling smite onto her. And this game is just exploded now.
Yeah, things do seem to be very clean on the side of the Cuckobos, which is good for them. It's great for them. You know, they had the great return game last time, and Bandits seem to reset mentally. But looking at this game, I feel like there's a lapse somewhere. I mean, do you think that's what happened, or?
Honestly, I think right now, the Blazing Bandits don't fully understand how much farther behind they are and how much behind they were when they were posturing up to siege that mid lane tower, and then they were just dove on and engaged on, and they weren't really in a position to be making those kinds of plays. They kind of have to like wait and try to make a pick. Perhaps Quickscythe, doing the things that he does, maybe just overstepping a little bit.
Pro Nibs gonna get stunned up. Curtain call comes in. Quickscythe going in. Not gonna get the kill. Eats an arrow to the face. Pro Nibs will be going down though. Quickscythe just walking under tower. I can't help but feel it's a little bold from him. Gets knocked up. Won't go down though. Collateral damage. Gets the shutdown. Crystal Fates coming in though. Gold card onto support or feeding. Deadly Flourish gonna whiff wide. End of the line. Only landing damage onto Parasite. Huge gold card onto Springfield. It's gonna put him on a rampage. Tim now forced to flash the wall. No counter flash available. But Azuro is just so far ahead right now.
Yeah, and at this point, if you're the Cuckobos, this is just those fairly easy games that you can just sort of lock up and do almost whatever you wish to try to close this one out. They do get some easy picks. Quickscythe does go down for that.
He's gonna get caught shopping, actually. He is gonna get one. Oh,
wow.
That Azura damage though is so huge.
Yeah, he's massive. 704.
2 completed items with another 1,500 in the bank. And if you're Bandits right now, how do you combat this? How do you fight against that?
I'm not really sure. They're making a lot of missteps and playing. If they were even, maybe a little bit less behind, they would be okay, and perhaps mistakes that they wouldn't be punished for. But when they're this, but it looks like the arrow's gonna come down onto TN.
TN's getting locked up, surrounded. White Raw picking up another kill for himself, but it feels like more of a misplay than an advantage.
Or maybe he was like sending a text message or something. Puts the gravity field down. I mean, I know everyone caught not sending text messages.
Quickscythe? The Rengar ultimate lasts for like 45 seconds. He's well within his time frame to get this instant eat devour from Pro Nibs. And that's why you take that pick. I mean, yes, White Rod lost all of his HP, but he didn't die, and that's what matters.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can just lose all your HP, but there aren't really, you don't get anything from almost killing someone. So that Tom Kench pick absolutely thwarting a little bit of Quickscythe's Rengar. But you can't protect both of them, and we saw that one mid lane team fight that did go down, or that Niggy Springfield did go down. So definitely have to watch out. But it looks like the Cuckobos are stalling out, perhaps just a little bit, being a little fragmented as a team. We saw them making really good map plays earlier, and that's why Zero's 7-0-4 was able to get the double kill in the top lane and snowball that to his advantage. So they are going to try to siege this bot lane tower, I believe. Zero's shoving it out, sending Negi Springfield, or Supper Feeding rather.
It is Azura versus Sup or Feeding, who's not having the best of games, but he can't exactly defend the tower either. Oof. Great hook on a Samano, but there's no real follow-up. Parasite's getting just completely locked up, forced to flash out of tower range, but survives for now, and they should be healthy enough that they can walk back up. The Ocean Drake is a pretty available resource for them now.
I think they'd rather take these towers and get that later after they knock these towers down, but they're doing a little bit of a 1-1-3 map play, it seems, but no sure they're in the position to make that. It would perhaps be better to be grouping as 5.
Way behind lines. There's not much you can do there. Huge stun's gonna stop the hammer from falling. Should have been going down, but the flash comes in and keeps him alive. And that's a bit of a tilter. I mean, you blow all those available resources and you barely get them down. That's hurtful.
Yeah, he honestly should have went down, but and
okay. Quickscythe just does not care about towers. Flashes the mastery. Does go down though.
Yeah, this is the chance for Blazing Bandits to try to make a comeback while they are missing a Quickscythe. Perhaps catch someone up, but it is not that easy. You don't have the forward vision. Both teams
75 armor on the Victor. Simply not enough to defend against Rengar, who, to be fair, didn't go lethality. We talked about the nerf to the lethality build. Quickscythe doesn't care. He just skipped that whole thing in entirety.
Yeah, I think he wants the movement speed and the cooldown reduction to have more ultis up, because they are behind enough. He doesn't need the lethality as much as we might have predicted, because he is working against a behind squad of Blazing Bandits.
Yeah, so it is kind of, Rengar has a bit more freedom now. I mean, he's 7-4. He can decide to go with this tanky build if he wants to, and there's not a whole lot for Bandits to do about it just yet. I mean, we're just seeing massive amounts of damage coming out from him, and until Azonius is completed by White Ra, what do you do? We see Ozuro coming in, Quickscythe using the Triumphant Roar CC immunity to get out of the gravity field. That is down. Ultimates available for Quickscythe. Not gonna blow it just yet, and we see Bandits just running for their lives. Bola's landing.
Yeah,
Bola upon Bola.
Yeah, one thing that I actually just noticed now is that Supper Feeding actually hasn't even bought his tier 1 boots yet. So, that limits a lot of what he's able to do.
Baron being started up. Samano's actually already at half HP. This could be the opportunity that they need. But Baron's just going down lower and lower. They need to make a play now. Tim's going big steal from the collateral damage. Gets knocked up by the body slam. Will trade his life for it. Not just yet. Curtain call coming in just against Tim. Gets that. Pronam's also getting locked down by the rest of the team. Ping-ponged around by the Poppy. Quickscythe way ahead of the rest of his team. Gets taken down by Sup or Feeding. Maybe now he can afford some boots, the poor little Popper.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though he didn't have them, still able to make that pick work. Still didn't bother though. Ended up going for a giant spell and cloth armor. Yeah. Quickscythe, not sure what he was doing trying to zone out the enemy team. He should have been in there putting DPS on it to prevent that steal from happening and smite
Or
it.
even smite it.
Yeah, I don't believe that he did.
I mean, smite is the #1 objective taking ability outside of consume on Nunu, but it only works if you're in the pit with your team. I mean, it was taken by a collateral damage, which, granted, is a high damage ability. It's currently sitting on 700 damage on the shell for the first damage hit, and then 550 afterwards.
Yeah, I believe he did hit it with the shell, but it was at like, I believe 18 HP. So regardless, Quickside definitely should have been in that pit to prevent that from happening. And this is actually the second Baron steal that we've seen from Tim
Second
in
Baron
the
steal,
series.
even not just objective. Just like he stole Baron last game with the Kazakhs, gets it with the Graves this time, and if you're a Quickscythe, that is a blow to your ego, because yes, you're 7-5 now, but like, you're a jungler. You're there for objectives. Come on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we can commend Tim's ability to steal these objectives and, you know, come out on top in these high pressure clutch situations, we can also criticize the perhaps positioning allocation of players, with Quickscythe being zone control against the Blazing Bandits. I think that they perhaps should have done a little bit more preparation, but it looks like Quickscythe's going to jump in on the White Raw and is not going to go down. Just damage is just barely not enough, and Quickscythe gets stunned up.
Doesn't really seem to matter.
Yeah, just so close.
Big arrow.
He's done.
Tim, can you do it? There it is. Slain the kitty cat. Hook lands onto Parasite, but do they have the damage? Tim's doing what he can. Pronib's gonna go in deep, but the Glacial Fissure from Electric Parasite onto Springfield's gonna keep him alive for now. What can the Bandits make of this, though?
I definitely think they can get this mid tower or this bot tower. They don't have any dive threat, but Tien might have something to say about that. Pushes away
There's no minions left.
Tom Kench, but bot tower is going to go down with the help of that newly acquired, or should I say stolen, Baron buff.
Oh, another big hook on the Parasite gets not locked up. W Force didn't connect for some reason. Collateral damage is all it takes to end him, though. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, White Raw's pushing pretty heavily. Gets one, damage on the second.
And what would have been a continued snowball for the Cuckobos just turns out to be yet another stall, as the gold lead stays relatively the same as it has been since, well, 15 minutes. Only sitting at about 4,500 gold. So definitely attributing that to the stolen Baron, which is really kind of turning this game on its head. You know, we thought this was completely in the bag for the Cuckobos, considering the advantage that they were dealing with. It's a
Quickscythe
making yet another attempt.
He just has a hard on for White Raw, but White Raw's finally got some armor under his belt. He's not just getting obliterated anymore.
Yeah, it does have the Seeker's Arm Guard. Meanwhile, while he is diving carries, the rest of the Cuckobos are getting that second Ocean Drake for them. So now they're sitting on Infernal Drake and 2 Oceans.
Yeah, and the Oceans are actually going to be really helpful for Quickscythe. You know, he's going for these dives. They're not always effective, but he's trying to get anything going right now. But, you know, he can tank 6 tower shots back off, let the Ocean do its work. So, I mean, you know, Ocean isn't really seen as this great all-around game Dragon, but Pronib's gonna get caught up here. Tons of damage coming in, pops the Grey health, and Azuru gets locked up by the Dredge line. What more can happen is to be determined.
I think Quickscythe has to burn his ulti.
Quickscythe throws down the ult. It is camouflage, though. You can see him if you're close enough.
He's just gonna walk right around that one.
Will he jump back in? I don't think he's going to jump back in. That did give the mid lane advantage over to the Cuckobos, though. Tons of damage coming in. Tim gets jump on Quickscythe, going low, but too much health, too much CC immunity. He's going to go down. Curtain Call gets popped. Lands on the Pro Nibs. 1, 2, 3. Here comes 4. not going to land onto anybody important. Quicksight's still getting taken low, but the GA is still available. Can they at least pop it? The answer is negatory.
And there's a lot of resources and ultimates burned on the side of the Cuckobos. I believe they're able to get, we're able to get that mid inhibitor tower down, but they are kind of working on the back foot here. If the Blazing Bandits are able to make a catch, it would be potentially fruitful for them, but looks like they are not going to go with that. Instead, they're going to both group down towards this bot lane tower to try to force push the Cuckobos are imposing on that tower.
Yeah. The good thing that Bandits also have going their way, you know, we keep talking about the composition. They have tons of wave clear. They have the Ash Volley with the Renaissance Hurricane. They have the Death Ray from White Raw. They have End of the Line from Tim. So they have options. They have wave clear that if they can get together, they can almost prevent any tower they want from dying unless they just get pushed on like in that mid lane. But that required such a specific setup that it's gonna take time to happen again.
Yeah, and I'd almost like to see the Cuckobos prioritize that top lane inhibitor tower just a little bit more, because if they take that one down, well, it looks like Quicksight's going to try to go on to Supper Feed.
Actually gets the flash from feeding. White Raw is stuck in this bottom lane, whereas TN has teleport available, but TN's tanky enough, he doesn't seem to care.
The Cuckobos are going to start at the Baron. TN has teleport. Supper Feeding does also, but it's not going to be able to make it into this fight. They are putting a little bit of pressure on
He's
him.
already in this top lane. TP coming in. Huge knockup from Parasite. Damage being traded back and forth. Curtain Call comes in. Nobody going down.
Samano's tanking Baron.
Parasite gets knocked up. Samano forced to flash out of the pit. TN came in and goes down. Quickside will be getting his GA pop. He's stuck in the smoke screen. Will it matter? There's Dredgeline's not going to land. Blast Cone also keeping him in danger. The 5-star Bola will be going wide. And there's a huge wave on this tower. If Tim can kill him, Tim, please, Tim!
Oh, that was so close.
Feels bad, Tim. And the top wave clear is going to go to Quickside, so that tower is safe as well.
Yeah, the communication wasn't there. They should have pulled everyone off the Baron. Samano pulled out the curtain call, but was unfortunately sitting right under the Baron, and it looks like the Cuckobos are going to go right back, start that one up again. Are working without TN or Azuru, but Azuru does have teleport, TN it does not. And also, just as a little aside, looked to be a little bit of a late TP from TN. What do you make of that one, Doc?
I think he was a little worried about the gravity field coming out from White Raw, so he had to run a bit farther away than he wanted to, which then obviously delayed the teleport from coming in. But, I mean, White Raw wasn't in that fight, and you can still call that a win for Bandits.
Yeah, absolutely. Picked up a bunch of kills. Gold lead just a little bit lessened, but it stayed relatively the same for majority of this game. TN is going to go back to that bot lane, but he doesn't have teleport. Right now, the Blazing Bandits should send Supper Feeding's Nautilus down towards that bot side, because they are working with the teleport advantage.
Pro Nib's just going to spit a Scuttle Crab at the back of Parasite's head. Somebody has to respond to this bot tower. It has to.
Yeah, they should have put Supper Feeding bot lane, because he has teleport and TN doesn't.
And they don't. They're still not even paying attention to it. Like, the tower's
just going to go down for free. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication, a little bit of shambles on their part, but
now, Supper Feeding too little too late. He's stuck on the wrong side of his team, but he's brought TN into the fold. He's going to get eaten up. No hammer coming down. TN, though, tanky enough that not the end of the world. Depth charge comes in. End of the line as well. Still alive, though.
Ooh.
And the dredge line is also going to miss again. Who can kill this man? The answer is Pro.
Oh, no.
Shady Crystal Arrows onto Samano. No gray health coming in for Nibs. Will put him into a rampaging death. Quickside comes in on the back end, taking so much damage into the team. Double kill for Samanos. It's all into White Raw. Goes down. Double kill for Quickside. Ace for the Cuckobos. And not ace.
Almost,
Suffer Greedy
almost,
managed to
but
get out, but
regardless, Fallen Tower is going to go down, and the
this
inhibitor
could be game.
will
This could, in
surely
all
follow.
honesty, be game.
They don't even need the Baron. Cuckobos are just storming their way into this base.
Oh, the delayed ace comes in. There it is. I was just seeing the future earlier when I mentioned it. But that is game 2. Going over to the Cuckobos. We saw them pull it back in game 1. They started with it in game 2. So, well played by both teams. And it seems like we were wrong on our predictions.
Yeah, the Lee Sin, I accept, well, at least in my case, expected a Lee Sin ban. Came out, Quickside still performing like his old self on the Rengar, just jumping and diving carries. Even might even be a little bit more of a nuisance instead of, catching out carries or the enemy jungler in his own jungle. Instead, just diving into the base even to be a nuisance onto White Raw's Victor. He was also just harassing him. I didn't really see him jumping on Springfield too much except for in team fights.
Yeah, it almost seemed like Quickscythe just wanted to get in White Raw's mind and just kind of make it his. I mean, time and time again, he would blow ult just to really run at him. Once the arm guard was picked up, there was no threat of him dying due to the fact that Quickscythe stopped building damage at a certain point. But, when that's constantly in the back of your mind, every time you hear the growl go out, you saw him run to tower, throw it on the gravity field, and stand in it. And when that's in the back of your mind, you can't go that far. You're stuck like basically in front of your base.
Yeah, especially when you have TP and Destiny on Azure's Twisted Fate. There's definitely a lot of that potential dive and catch pressure. And right now I'm showing you guys the damage dealt. And like we're talking about, Quickscythe actually has the most damage dealt on his whole team. Just a little bit more than Azure's Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I mean the Twisted Fate, bit of a different scoreline this time. Just as many impacts as last time. 8-1 and 9 this game. Very impactful. Did exactly what was needed of him. Samano Knight not quite popping off as much this game as last game, but again we see the carries from Cuckobos going essentially off, doing everything they need to, and Springfield not having the best game 1 comes into game 2, doesn't die 8 times. Definitely seemed more comfortable on the Ashe than the Ezreal, but in the end, not quite able to pull it back. Um, so really, just very well played from both squads. I mean, they all had their upsides. There were some downsides, but heading into the playoffs, there's a lot for these teams to build on, and I'm excited to see how that pans out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Me as well. Definitely enjoy watching the Cuckobos squad perform. Quickscythe's explosive divey style is a sight to behold, and I believe that will close it out for a week 5 of the Elder League, a 2-0 sweep for the Cuckobos against the Blazing Bandits. I am Wumbo, joined this week by Doctor as my play-by-play caster, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Bye bye.